Good day everyone, I am April Rose F. Bucalar from BSN English 1.
And I am Chad Yuan Ulili Patangan.
And I am J. Marie Inahian.
Hi, and I am Desi Joy Arushana.
And I am Karina J. Karim.
And we are the Study Hub 2.
Why are these important? The learner-centered principle is rooted in a long-held constructivist idea that acknowledge people learn best when they actively construct knowledge that builds on prior understanding based on first-hand experience with data and evidences. These principles serve as a foundation for creating effective, engaging, and supportive learning environments. As a future educators, understanding and applying these principles is crucial for fostering student success and promoting lifelong learning.
Hello everyone, I am Chad Yuan Ulili Patangan, and today I'm going to discuss cognitive and metacognitive. First things first, what is cognitive? So according to Flavel 1985, he believes that cognitive process begins with emotional stimulation and continues with recalling the data contained in our memory. With this emotional stimulation, since the process are related to knowledge and recognition, they are called cognitive process. In other words, recognition occurs when we identify or remember something and understand a sentence, express our idea, or solve a problem. So, the definition of cognition is all about the mental process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through various means such as thoughts, experience, and senses. An example of cognitive in a context in a classroom or in school is that giving students a problem solving, recalling facts, and making a decision. Next is the metacognitive. So according to Pinterich 2003, metacognitive strategies includes planning, settling goals, following up the set and accomplished tasks, and asking questions. And strategies of evaluating include self-checking, attention focusing, and following up the understanding. And strategies of centering is adapting, learning speed, relearning, repetition, response, and strategies. Metacognitive learning strategies include metacognitive self-regulation and critical thinking. So, metacognitive is an awareness and understanding of your own thought and process the ability to control them. It's about knowing what you know and what you need to know. So example of metacognitive is planning, monitoring, evaluating, and self-regulation.
So let me first introduce myself. By the way, I am J. Marie Inahian. So today I will discuss about the two motivational and affective learning principles and show how they influence students and how teachers can apply them in the classroom. So, motivational and emotional influences on learning. So, student beliefs about themselves and the nature of learning affect their motivations. So, we have two, positive emotions and also negative emotions. And for the positive emotions, so we have the curiosity, interest, and hope, and help students focus and participate. So second, negative emotions. So we have the anxiety, fear of failure, and also shame can block their learning. So motivation increases when learning goals are meaningful and achievable. So we have the application as a teacher. Use encouragement and supportive feedback. Connect lessons students' interests. reduce fear of failure through constructive assessment. And for the Principle 8, students learn better when tasks are interesting, relevant, and meaningful. Curiosity and creativity, self-directed learning, and persistence. Learning is deeper when students feel autonomy and purpose. And also, we have the application as a teacher. So, provide meaningful activities and tasks. Give real-life examples and engaging tasks. Recognize effort and progress to boost their confidence.
Hi everyone, I am Desiree Arishana and I'm going to discuss to you about the developmental and social factor. So now let's first discuss about developmental influence on learning. So developmental influence means that every learner is different because they grow and develop at different speeds. A child, a teenager, and an adult do not learn in the same way because their bodies, minds, and emotions are not at the same stage. That is why teachers must consider the age, skills, and abilities of their students when teaching. So for example, small children usually learn better through songs, games, and pictures because these are enjoyable and easy for their stage. Teenagers, on the other hand, can already handle harder topics, discussions, and problem-solving activities. Adults may prefer practical lessons that they can apply in real life. This shows that learning is most effective when the lesson is appropriate to the student's developmental level. If the material is too hard, the student may feel frustrated. If it is too easy, the student may feel bored. But if the lesson matches the learner's level and is presented in an interesting way, students will enjoy learning more and understand better. And then let's proceed to the social influence on learning. So social influence means that the people around us also affect the way we learn. Learning becomes stronger when students are given the chance to interact, communicate, and work together with others. Humans are social beings, so we often learn not only from books or teachers, but also from our classmates, friends, and family. For example, in school, students can share their ideas during group activities or projects. They can ask questions, explain answers, and help each other understand the lesson. When learners collaborate, they can see different points of view and gain more knowledge than when studying alone. Working with others also makes learning more enjoyable because it builds teamwork, cooperation, and confidence. It teaches students how to listen, respect others' opinions, and solve problems together. In summary, developmental influences remind us that students learn best when the lessons match their stage of growth and are given in a fun and suitable way. Social influences remind us that learning improves when students interact and cooperate with others because sharing knowledge and experiences helps them understand more. So, according to the Carvalho et al. 2022, psychosocial development, which includes friendships, emotions, and social skills, has a strong connection to student engagement and school. Students who are socially and emotionally well are more active, motivated, and interested in learning. The study also showed that age and gender makes a difference. Early and late adolescents, as well as boys and girls, may show different patterns. The researchers concluded that schools should not only focus on academics but also support the social and emotional growth of students to improve engagement.
Good day everyone, I am Karina J. Karim from BSed English 1A, and this day we will going to define and discuss what is individual different factors in 14 learner-centered psychological principles. Individual different factors, we have three principles, the principles 12, 13, and 14. So let us first define what is principle 12. So principle 12 talks about the individual difference in learning. So when we say individual difference in learning, it talks about the learning styles or the cognitive ability of the students. So in learning styles, different preferences for processing information such as visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. We also have cognitive abilities, differences in memory, attention, problem solving, and critical thinking skills. Learners have different strategies and abilities for learning. So indeed, learners have different ways of learning, as what I have said earlier, like we have learning by doing or learning by just seeing the visual aids. Educator need to recognize and accommodate the differences to help all students reach their learning goals. So as a future educator, we need to fulfill or accommodate our students' needs because it's our job to make their learning journey easier as much as we can. So in individual differences in learning, it refers to the unique ways in which people process, absorb, and retain information. These differences can affect individual learns, understand, and apply new skills and knowledge. Students have also different learning styles, different preferences processing information such as visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. By understanding individual differences in learning, educators and learners can work together to optimize the learning process and achieve better outcomes. Let's move on to Principle 13, which is learning and diversity. Builds on the previous one by emphasizing that effective learning considers student linguistic, cultural, and social backgrounds, ensuring that instructional methods are inclusive. So when we say learning and diversity, it encompasses the various ways of individuals differ in backgrounds, experiences, perspective, and learning styles. So this diversity can enrich the learning environment and impact how individuals absorb and process information. So we have here the aspects of diversity in learning. We have cultural diversity, of course. Different cultural backgrounds and experiences can influence learning styles, values, and perspective. We also have linguistic diversity. Variations in language proficiency, dialects, and communication styles can affect learning interactions. We also have ability diversity. Differences in cognitive, physical, and sensory abilities can impact learning and participation. So, we can enhance creativity. Diverse perspective and experiences can foster creative thinking and problem solving. So by embracing diversity in learning, educators can create a more inclusive, engaging, and effective learning environment that benefits all learners. So lastly, we have Principle 14, which is the standard and assessment. So these principles 14 focuses on standard and assessment. Setting high standard in using ongoing assessment are integral to guiding students towards achieving their learning goals. So let us define the standards. So when we say standards and assessment, let us define the two words, which is the standard and assessment. So when we say standard, it refers to the established expectations or criteria that define what learners should know, understand, and be able to do. On the other hand, the assessment is the process of evaluating learning performance, understanding, and progress in relation to these standards. We have here three types of assessment. We have formative assessment, summative assessment, and diagnostic assessment. So that let us define the three. So formative assessment is the ongoing informal assessment used to monitor learning progress and inform instructions. When we say summative assessment, it is a formal assessment used to evaluate learner achievements at the end of the unit or course. And when we say diagnostic assessment used to identify learner strength, weaknesses, and prior knowledge. So by understanding standard and assessment, educators can create effective evaluations that support learning growth and achievements. So that's all for my part. Thank you so much.